our exit.
For what?
That sign back there said Tampa and Orlando. Aren't we going to the Florida Super Show in Tampa?
Yeah. Eventually.
May have taken a wrong turn. We drove all the way from Fort Worth, Texas to Orlando, Florida to stay one night at Disney's Fort Wilderness. Was it worth it?
Welcome back to Miller's in Motion. And per our name, we are drastically in motion. Seems like forever the last 3 days.
Very true.
So if you watched our last video, you know that we are dodging storms to try and get to the 2024 Florida RV Super Show. Mm-hmm. And we got to Florida a little sooner than any reservation we had started. So you heard Lauren say it just a little bit ago. Yep, we're those people. We are staying one night at Disney's Fort Wilderness. Mm-hmm. Full disclosure, most people come here for upwards of a week or more.
And this is the first time we've ever brought the rig, stayed at this place. So we've been to Disney, just not here.
So a couple of things to note is Fort Wilderness is known for being a tighter parking situation.
Yes. Many stories about that online.
Yeah. It's also known for having tons of amenities, being an amazing campground. But with all that being said, I think it's a no-brainer that if you even like Disney a little bit, you should come here.
Yeah.
But should you just use it as one overnight stop? Let's wander around and find out, and we can answer that question. So if you're only going to stay one night at Disney's Fort Wilderness, are the sites worth it? Well, there's two versions of that. There's the site itself, and there's getting into the site. And that second one's a very loaded question, so I'll start by just kind of quickly showing you our site. So we are in site 1442. Now, I will tell you, it's a little windy here because of those storms that we talked about. That's from before. Well, they're coming here now. So as far as our site goes, it's great. It's about a 75-foot back end. Everything's a back end at Fort Wilderness. There is no pull-throughs. It's all concrete, the entire thing. Comes with a picnic table. We've shoved it off to the side because we're only here for the one night. And a barbecue in the back that's kind of a charcoal thing. They also do have some things that you can buy to make those work if you don't have it on site. Plenty of room for the rig and the truck. I could actually probably fit a second vehicle right there as long as it wasn't as long or as big as my dually. But like if Lauren's F-150 or we had a car, definitely fit there. I also see golf cart parking there in my future. So now the second portion of that, the sites themselves, as far as like backing into. Let's get into that because Fort Wilderness is a little different. So as far as getting in different loops, and I will say we are in the Premium Meadows loop, it can be a little tight. We had to finagle our way, and we're about as long and as big as you can get, and we got through just fine. You just have to pay close attention. Also, depending on how you set up, like this site directly across from us, wouldn't be too bad, but it would definitely be more difficult than our site was to get into. So the thing we could do about our site here is we could pull straight forward there and then kind of barely back in, so it worked out really nicely because we didn't have to make a big fork. So because a lot of people will bring a lot of different things to the fort, like decorations, like they'll bring inflatables, Christmas decorations, Halloween decorations are the big two, golf carts, and again, it's a family area, so they bring a lot of stuff. Golf carts, multiple vehicles, and so some people cram a lot of stuff in. I'm imagining if you get into the other loops that aren't the premium loops, you're gonna have even less space. And so the only issue I had with backing in was I had to ask somebody to move their golf cart because it was right on the road, so that I could swing the truck to get the RV in the site. I may have been able to do without it, but it was just easier to ask them to move it. They didn't mind at all. That's the thing. RVers as a whole, super helpful, super friendly. People at Disney, happy to be here, super helpful, super friendly. Combine them all together, it's just like RVing on a different level. So would we stay or would we not stay again because of getting into the site itself? I would consider it again. There you go. One other perk of staying at Fort Wilderness is you don't really have to drive anywhere. You can do a couple different things. One, you can see the golf carts behind me. You can rent or bring your own golf cart if you have a toy hauler. I know, I'm working on it. I want my own so bad. This is not helping. So you don't have to necessarily just, walk anywhere or drive anywhere unless you're driving a golf cart. Also, you can see we're right at the bus depot. So if you don't want to drive, you don't have to. Disney has their own transportation. In fact, two of the things we're going to do later on this evening specifically revolve around two of those modes of transportation, because we're going to have some Disney fun that has absolutely nothing to do with going into the parks.
Now, we understand that a park ticket to Disney can be expensive, especially when you're traveling with a family. But one of the most underrated things, in my opinion, about the Disney area is the amount of stuff to do that doesn't involve a park ticket. And for us, like the transportation we're using is free of cost, and a lot of the places we're going don't have an admittance charge. So we're going to start there, and one of our favorites is Disney Springs. There are so many fantastic restaurants and some good shopping. And don't forget the desserts. That might be our favorite part of this place.
So it's also good to note that while admittance into Disney Springs, as well as a bunch of other stuff like the resorts and other things that we're going to do today, are free, you still have to pay for things. So if you go eat somewhere,
Right, yeah.
you got to buy food. And I'll be honest, Disney prices are a little pricey.
But that's why we don't pay for transportation and we don't pay the admittance fee. Makes it better.
It does make it better, but just know, don't get sticker shock. Look, you can see all this stuff online, menus, all this stuff. Maybe do a little research before you come on and just understand. Now, you can get out cheaper or really expensive. So just know everything with a grain of salt when we say free. Not always free. Nothing's ever free in this world, but you can come walk around, and if you don't buy anything or eat anything, then it was free.
And another side note, back home in North Texas, it is cold. And I know that it's about to rain, but it's in the 70s here, and I am not upset about this.
No kidding. Plus, double confirmation we made the right call. The area we were going to be in got hit with all kinds of tornadoes and stuff yesterday, so definitely the right call and having a long day. Plus, now we get a little mini Disney day. Let's go see some springs. All right, so first stop on the Disney Springs tour of food, apparently is what it's turning into, or cramming in before the rain. We got cookies that are apparently a half-pound a piece. We did a original chocolate chip, because you have to, a peanut butter crunch, I forgot the other one, and a triple chocolate. We're gonna split these. I also got a peanut butter cold brew. I'm not sure Lauren's gonna be happy that I got caffeine this late in the day, but it's one of those things, it's unique because there's the cookie and then all the filling, all the peanut butter, all that's on the outside. So it's a little bit different, as you can see. But we're gonna try it later because we're still really full and we have to eat more. So we're holding some of this till the end. So we promise we'll put it in at some point. So we're currently at Raglan Road, and stop number 2. We're just gonna get a beer and an appetizer here. We both have an Irish background, so a little bit of nostalgia for us, and kind of being able to get Guinness on tap, which is kind of a less rare thing. But we're just gonna get an appetizer here, and then we're gonna start something really fun. After Raglan Road, it started to pour, and the camera's fancy and expensive, so we didn't record that. But Raglan Road was awesome. Got to watch some Irish dancing. Have a Guinness. You didn't have a Guinness?
Absolutely not.
What did you have?
An Irish blonde something or other.
She had beer.
I had beer.
And then we got some odd broccoli fritter thing.
It was marked as like a corn fritter, but I loved it.
It was good.
It's good.
Wasn't my favorite thing, but it was good.
I got vegetables at a bar.
So, next, time for the crawl of all crawls. let's go get more drinks. First up on our monorail crawl is Grand Floridian. And this is one of the ones, Monorail. You wanted to do this one
Yes.
more than the rest of them.
This
So
was Enchanted Rose. I'm looking forward to this one.
So this is a Beauty and the Beast themed bar. Lounge.
Lounge.
Sorry, they don't call them bars here. Lounge.
All right, that was delicious. So Ryan got an old fashioned. He said it was perfect, and I got a sunrise margarita, which may have been more booze than it was not. Anyways, it was very good. We went out on a limb and tried flatbread that had artichokes and figs on it, and it was actually really good. And we could have left the artichokes off, but Ryan found out he doesn't mind figs. That's a win in my book. And then we got their famous truffle fries, and those were everything they were made out to be, and that butter is delicious. So up next, Polynesian.
So what is a monorail crawl? Well, at Walt Disney World, one of the first modes of transportation was the monorail. So what we're currently sitting in is what you've seen some B-roll of. It's essentially a tram elevated on a beam that moves around.
He calls it the highway in the sky.
And what this specifically does is it connects 3 of the original resorts and the Magic Kingdom. It was kind of the first mode of transportation that wasn't just a bus.
Also, Ryan's favorite ride.
It was my favorite ride growing up, and they don't allow people to sit in the very front anymore. I'm proud to say I got to do that when I was a kid, so it was fun. This is always kind of a highlight because it's just so different. Yeah, so that's the monorail, and then the crawl consists of going to the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and Grand Floridian, and essentially getting something to eat, some drinks, anything along those lines. So if you're curious why we keep calling it a monorail crawl, because we're sitting on a monorail, specifically Monorail Silver. I know it's backwards for y'all, but...
And if you're not drinking or whatnot, they have some non-alcoholic options, and then some people will just do like an appetizer one, dinner at another, and dessert at a third. So you don't have to drink along the way. It's not a bar crawl. These are all kind of more family-friendly, more environments.
Yeah, most Disney resorts or areas that do serve alcohol will always have mocktails.
Yeah.
Or zero proof, no alcohol cocktails, so that if you're not drinking, you kind of still feel like you're part of the group.
That's right, something for everybody.
So, we are going to do our very last stop. We are skipping the Contemporary. We're bad crawl people. We failed the Harvest Toast Challenge, and we're failing this one.
So I told him, I said, you know how sometimes you order a burger and you say, I don't want the fries, I want the onion rings? I wanted to do a different place instead. So that was the Irish one.
Well, in addition to that, too, there really isn't that much at Contemporary, so we're not worrying about it. But there's multiple things at the Polynesian, which is where we're going next. Well, hello to the next day. Our bad. As typical, if you watched our last video, things change on the fly.
That's right.
So the storms we had been avoiding for the previous 3 days finally caught us.
True.
So we had a couple of different things happen. That was one, so we didn't necessarily just get to record a whole bunch in between stops because of the pouring, driving rain. And then we got to the Polynesian to do Trader Sam's, is where we were going to do our crawl stop. And there was like an hour and a half wait.
I know, which we were really bummed about. We were looking forward to that one.
But I think it's an important thing to note is that if you're just staying one night at especially a place like Disney, and I keep looking down because I don't want to trip, but if you're staying just one night at a place like Disney, you have to be able to go with the flow.
Yeah, definitely.
It's busy, it's popular, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of benefits to doing it, but there's a lot of disadvantages too, unfortunately.
And this is one of those disadvantages to only staying one night, is that we didn't get to do something we wanted to do. But that's okay, because that means we'll be coming back.
Exactly. So this is one of those places that you essentially really want to do for like a week or more. And a one night's a great little taste, but at the end of the day, it's somewhere you want to come and stay and camp out for a little while.
I'm also going to point out that the bus system, while free and convenient, is not terribly efficient. So just pack your patience pants.
It is, as long as you're not doing crazy things like us.
Yeah, that's right.
The other thing I would say too is that you can use what's called a minivan. Essentially, it's a Lyft service or Uber that works for Disney property. It does cost, but it gets you from point A to B much faster. No. So this morning, we're just going to hang out at the fort. We have to check out today. You know, I think we're going to push the 18 hours that we're here all the way to the end. But we are checking out today, so we're going to hang out here. We're going to get some Mickey waffles.
Of course, we can't leave without Mickey waffles.
And show you just a little bit around the fort.
We're getting to do our first duck drop, just in time for them to change it to the alligators. But that's okay. It's still about growing community and meeting all these wonderful people on the road. It's so wet, I'm afraid it's not gonna work, but that's okay, we're gonna try it anyways. And our first duck drop was another 44, the first one we've seen in the wild.
That, what looks like an older RV behind me, is actually a food truck. So they went all the way on theming, plus, you know, us RVers, we like our stickers, so they have a bunch of retro Disney stickers on the back of it, so very cool. Unfortunately, it is about that time for us to start packing up, so we are heading back to the camper to get ready to move on to the next adventure. So, would we come back to Disney's Fort Wilderness and just stay one night?
Here's the thing, it's never enough, right? I would love to stay more nights, but it was, I don't want to say easy to get into, but it's off the beaten path. And so I think that as far as like timing wise may not be conducive to an overnighter necessarily, but I think it was a good spot and there's plenty of entertainment for that evening while you're down.
I think it's very situational.
Right.
Too. So, you know, if you are arriving at 8 o'clock at night and have to be back out at 7 a.m.,
right.
Hard no.
No.
I wouldn't ever want to back into a site here at night.
No, please don't do that.
It's very tight. Honestly, the perfect time of the day is like between noon and like 3. I know check-in's not till 3, but it really helps when there's not a bunch of cars and other people parked, because it gives you a little extra wiggle room, especially for your truck swing if you're driving a fifth wheel, you know what I'm talking about. So the other side of that too is Lauren's right, is it kind of leaves you with but I want to go do this now and I want to go do that now. If you're a Disney person. If you're not, then it's an amazing campground. It does have a Disney twist. It's not an overwhelming in your face.
It's not, no.
So if you're just looking for a really cool campground that has a lot of amenities, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I know this is completely unrelated, but when you've been on the road for several days, sometimes it's nice to get out and stretch your legs.
Yes.
And because there's so much space here and like walking paths, I got in nearly a 2-mile run yesterday, which makes me a lot better person today.
Plus, we were able to walk this morning a little bit, and again, just sitting for that long, like my legs, even just getting back in the truck for the 3-hour drive from Gainesville down to here in our last video, like my legs started to cramp up after literally 15 minutes just because I'd been sitting in that position for so long. So,
and the same goes for the dogs. They got to stretch their legs and hit the park for a little while. So in those ways, the stopover was perfect.
I almost would say that if you could spend 2 nights here, it's
That's exactly
perfect.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
You know, it's situational on the one night. If you can dedicate, like if you could be here within reason, if they'll let you check in early kind of a thing, or right at 3, perfect. Stay right till 11 o'clock, which is what we're doing on checkout. All of that is perfect, all well and great. If you can't go for 2 days, or maybe it's just not your jam, do what everybody else does. Come and stay for a week.
Agreed.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this. We're going to be coming to you with some fun stuff from the Florida RV Super Show here really, really soon. I always like saying really, really. Her face gives a little smirk.
Always.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye, Mom.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open.